Let's bring in Dr. Mike Jones, who's the Executive Director of Migration Watch UK. We're all kind of scratching our heads on this one, Mike. I'm assuming this isn't completely new news to you, but it's certainly interesting to see a sort of a live version of what the government are planning and the kind of chaos that it's likely to cause.
Yes, the asylum policy has been de-democratized. So, power and responsibility are misaligned. The Home Office is responsible for immigration policy, but they have very little power to deport people. So they're scrambling around trying to, accommodate these people. And obviously it's illegal to allow an asylum seeker to be destitute. Now, if you look at the cost of housing asylum seekers in accommodation, that's risen to, 8 million a day. The cost of the asylum system as a whole is around 4 billion a year. Britain needs around 6 million new homes over the next 15 years to keep up with immigration population growth. A 1% increase in population due to immigration raises house prices by 1%. So this is a complete, failure in government policy. It's a housing crisis. And it shows the kind of systemic failures that are there in British politics.
Indeed. And, if ever there was an example of, and I don't know whether this is ineptitude, desperation, whatever you want to call it, the idea that the Home Office, who are clearly behind this plan to commandeer half a dozen 8 homes in Millham, the idea that they don't have to tell the local authority it's beyond belief that would be the case.
Of course it is. I mean, the whole policy is in chaos. It's been de-democratized, and obviously local authorities and local communities have to be shoved to one side for the government to actually fulfill its legal obligations. I mean, the only way to solve this is if the government can actually deport people, which it can't. So it's scrambling around trying to force non-citizens onto local communities. And obviously that has a knock-on effect on the housing market, on social housing, as, Councillor Faulkner pointed out.
Yeah.
And, sort of short circuits the democratic process and the consultation process that would normally go on there.
Something I bang on about, perhaps way too much, Mike, but I don't think it gets enough airtime in the debate about asylum, is that of cultural assimilation. I think that is right at the top of any intelligent list when having this discussion, but it's almost relegated as a kind of almost any more business type moment, when in fact I think it should be front and centre of this. If suddenly 40, 50 people are going to turn up in a very small town, in a little cul-de-sac somewhere, I think people have the right to know who they are, where they come from, their backstory. I think they have a right to be concerned if they feel that cultural assimilation is hardly something that's likely to happen anytime soon. Being somebody who believes that to be a key part of this story, I don't think we should apologise for looking to assimilate people who come to our country. It should almost be a requirement, but we can see the problems, but they are huge. The argument, as you well know, Mike, is often quite difficult to have without somebody shouting horrendous things at you and telling you must be a racist if you've got a problem with any of this.
Yeah, I think the national security element of it is absolutely essential. Obviously, talking heads, political commentators focus on the economic aspect of it. But you've got to remember, the lion's share of the people arriving via the channel are male. They're young. Most of them are unaccompanied. And this goes against traditional refugee flows. Traditional refugee flows are a mixed multitude.
Yeah.
People travel with their families, their wives, their kids, their grandparents, and so on. But these are mostly young men, and we don't know who they are.
Good point.
Because they destroyed their documents. And many of these people come from countries that have in the past posed a security threat to the UK. So, yeah, it's a huge concern.
Massively so. Listen, Mike, thank you. Appreciate your time. Dr. Mike Jones from Migration Watch with us here on TalkTV.